I would venture to suggest that the most important philosophical claim ever made was Aristotle's conclusion that man is by nature a political animal. He concluded such because this was what his observations led him to conclude, and this is what he has discovered about human nature. Not because he has constructed a theory that concludes that people would have to do this in order to create a better world, but he does say that the world would be worse off, that people would be less happy, and that there would be more pain and sorrow if we don't appreciate and live in harmony with this fact of nature. This statement, that man is by nature a political animal, is in many ways the essence of what it means to be conservative. But we have to understand what Aristotle meant when he said this. This was long before the modern state as we have it today. And so when he concluded that man is by nature a political animal, Aristotle wasn't referring to politics as we understand it today. He was referring to the polis. Now, the word polis is usually translated into modern English to mean city-state, the city-state, which is a fairly good translation, but this doesn't quite capture the actual meaning of the word. And as a result, it's easy to lose the depth that is to be found in Aristotle's statement. The polis was not just a city, as we know cities today. It was the natural consequence of the fact that people associate with each other on the basis of things on which they agree and things that they appreciate and wish to preserve, particularly culture and tradition. It's a community that cherishes commonality, as opposed to the modern tendency in which we are told to shun commonality and replace it with diversity. A community that saw the things that people have in common with one another as the source of their strength. And Aristotle's observation was that it's perfectly natural for people to want to live in a community like this. This is because people who share the same culture and tradition naturally associate with one another. But also, when people associate, they tend to develop, grow, and nurture their cultures and traditions even further. This implies that culture is not static, but dynamic. And herein lies the natural cycle of culture, or the culture cycle, we can call it. The culture cycle is the natural process where people shape and are shaped by their cultures and traditions through mutual association, where people associate based on a shared culture, and where that culture is then nurtured and involved through their continued interaction. This is not to say that other cultures and other traditions are wrong, merely that people tend to want to spend time with people who celebrate the same things as them, who have the same rituals, ceremonies, traditions, language, religion, and so forth. But the world has gotten to a place where simply recognizing this has become controversial, because modern ideologies seek to reject and change this fact of nature. Once again, underlining the conclusion that conservatism is by nature anti-ideological.